Hey guys, it's Wahima, but just call me Wah. Melanated! 100 days, 100 nights to know a man's heart. Do you guys know Cheryl and the Dapper Kings, or Cheryl King and the Dapper Dudes, or something like that? I really like that song. And a little more before he knows his own. So let's get started. This is going to be a get ready with me morning tea because girl, I'm going to try to knock these videos out. If you guys don't know or don't follow me on Instagram, I am working a 6-day week, 60 hours a week until December 29th. So this is hashtag get it done on Saturdays. Hashtag Saturdays be like, for the next 5 weeks. Is it 5 weeks? Let's look that up. Ooh, 6 weeks, girl. 6 days a week, 60 hours a week, 6 more weeks. It's 666, which is the devil. Welcome to another episode of Morning Tea, where we sit in our sleepwear and discuss current events. Today's tea is like some green skinny tea from this company that I'm working with. I'm not going to say what the company is. I also told them that I wasn't going to announce anything until I went through the full 30 days to see if it actually worked for my body. And you may or may not hear about it in the next couple of weeks. So let's get on with our first topic. P.S. I filmed a morning tea 2 weeks ago and completely forgot about it. I brought up my notes for morning tea and it's all the notes from the previous video and I'm like, what did I even do with that video? I have no idea where it is. So the first thing we're going to talk about is Treasure and Dr. Phil. I know this is very old news, but we're just going to talk about it. Here's the tea. Treasure and Dr. Phil. So a couple of weeks ago, in October probably, Dr. Phil had a young woman on his program, her mother and her brother on his program, and the young woman was a black girl who said that she hated black people, and she was like, I'm not black. I'm not a black person. The reason why she thought she wasn't a black person, or at the very least biracial, was because her stepfather, whom for her entire life thought was her actual dad, passed away. And when he passed away, her mother said to them, hey, he wasn't actually your real dad. And I think the older kids knew that it wasn't, but she and her brother didn't know that this man wasn't their real dad. And they had lived in a more affluent neighborhood, and when their father died, they had to move to a less affluent neighborhood. And her mother said that is when she felt like her daughter started to disassociate from being black. And when we first meet this child, Treasure, I immediately knew she was trolling. I immediately knew she was fake, because she was speaking about black people the way you think, like the most stereotypical and crazy way you think that a racist would speak about black people. Like, she was like, my nose is different, my ears are different, black women are fat and I'm skinny. Like, it was just a lot of weird and crazy things that she was saying, seeing as how her mother is black. So we were like, you got this black woman sitting across from you that you grew in her belly, yet you're saying all these really crazy things about black people as though you've never met any black people. Anyways, the show was wild. Everybody freaked out. Everybody was talking about this child. I was like, okay, well, her mother's on the show, her brother's on the show, and they're saying that this is what this person believes. So it felt really, really legit. And even Dr. Phil was on the Breakfast Club, and he says that him and his team do a lot of vetting. So from his standpoint, he didn't think Treasure was lying. He just felt that she was just had some extreme form of self-disassociation or body dysmorphia or something, and that she just needed help and all this jazz. So we were kind of like, is this real? Is it not real? But the validity came in because the mother and the brother backed the story up. And that's what it was. That's why I think, at least for me, that I gave it the benefit of the doubt, even though I knew it was fake. I just knew it had to be fake. So anyways, after a week after the show aired, her older sister went onto Instagram and was like, I'm her sister, this is all fake, my mom's a scammer, my brother was brought into it as well, all this stuff. And so all of a sudden we're starting to see oh my God, the whole family was involved, the whole family. And so as far as Dr. Phil saying that they really vet people, I'm just like, that family, how did they fool a whole ass production crew? How did they fool people whose jobs it is to research and make sure that the things that are put on this show are real? I'm using Lancome Teint Idole Ultra Cushion. This is in the color Almost the Darkest. 555 suede C or something like that, you know? So yeah, it turns out that it was fake. It turns out that Treasure apparently has been on the run from like Child Protective Services or whatever that service is that's supposed to make sure children go to school, because I guess she stopped going to school and hasn't been in school for a year, and her mother has claimed that she didn't know where she was and like all this stuff. And I guess like Treasure had ran a scam on some people at some point. So she's just like a problem child. So it's really weird that the mother like got involved in this. And then you find out from the sister that the mother is trash as well, that the mother had done some kind of weird things to them when they were younger as well. So the sister was not on the side of the mother. So you're just like, oh, it's a whole family of scammers. And the only thing that she said is that the man who they kept showing as her stepdad was actually their stepdad, and she felt like he was a sweet guy and that it just felt dishonorable to dishonor his name like that, being that they used him on TV. The daughter just got on Instagram to set the record straight, and it was just so crazy. It was just so mind-boggling crazy that these people got their like 15 minutes of fame, and then in the next second it just like crashed into the ground. I mean, and it was like great. I was glad that the sister came through to like rectify it, because the way that Treasure was talking about Black people was just so unacceptable that she needed to be shut down. And that's why the sister came forward in the first place. She was like, the things that my sister was saying about Black people was just too much. So I had to come in here and talk about how fake it was. It was just too much. I mean, and one of the storylines or one of the plots of this is that the girl had the KKK on speed dial. So they really just went in and like forged this whole story that, like I said, upon hearing it, sounded super duper fake, but the mother cooperated, and so we believed it. All right, the next thing that we're gonna talk about, here's the tea. Oh, that's hot, girl. I'm not drinking that. I can't burn my tongue. I got food to eat. You know what I'm saying? It's Thanksgiving weekend. You know what I'm saying? And there are still leftovers to eat. I am not burning my tongue on hot ass tea. So we're drinking water until it cools down. Pittsburgh synagogue. That's how old this news is, girl. So there was a bombing of a synagogue in Pittsburgh a couple of weeks ago. It was just like so devastating. I think 11 people died. I mean, the hate crimes that are happening in this country right now, it's a bad time to be a minority all of a sudden. I mean, and it's always been a bad time to be a minority. Like, don't get me wrong, but it just really feels like any kind of color, creed, race, religion you are, it's just like an exponentially terrible time in our current present to be. And I just want everybody out there to be safe, because you just never know. You literally just never know. People, it's the worst thing when you go into a place where people are worshiping. Like, it's just the worst. I mean, it's bad anywhere, but it's just worse. So that's all I have to say about that. I'll have a link below for that. I'm not going to have links below for everything I talk about today, because like I said, I got to get these videos out. I don't want to keep you guys waiting anymore. And doing links and adding pictures and all that stuff just takes more time. So this video is not going to have pictures in it as well, and I'm sorry about that. All right, so the next topic that we're going to talk about, here's the tea. Megyn Kelly. All right, so Megyn Kelly is a little confused about what is considered racist, and she's also confused about the history of vaudeville and the stage in these United States. I understand why there are some people who are ignorant as to what blackface is, but it has been in the media now for years, and people have been getting in trouble and ostracized for years for doing blackface. And you would think that people would just do a little research to see why it's bad. Blackface is bad because during a time when we didn't have television, we didn't have social media, and each corner of this country was pocketed in small little groups, and the only way we got information out was through newspaper and traveling shows. And those newspapers and those traveling shows had white actors or cartoonists drawing black people in very negative manners. So there are corners of the country who'd never met a black person, but had seen in shows and in the newspaper how lazy black people were, how they were stealing what a black person looks like, comparing them to a monkey, you know, saying a lot of negative and derogatory things about black people. And that was called blackface, is when a white person would put shoe polish, black shoe polish, on their face and then draw their lips in red, and then get up on the stage and start dancing around like apes or whatever, eating watermelon, stealing food. There was this whole idea that post-slavery, Black people were just kind of lazy and laying about and didn't want to work and were just stealing and vagabonds and vagrants and rapists and all this shit. And that what was printed in newspaper as gospel. That was what was shown on stage around this country. Then it was to our detriment. There was a lot of negativity and derogatory things said about Black people. And so now it's not acceptable for anybody to darken their skin with any kind of makeup and pretend to be a Black person. That is why it's not right. Apparently Megyn Kelly wanted to fight back and say, since when is a costume not a costume? So it doesn't matter if you're trying to honor Diana Ross. It doesn't matter if you're trying to honor a character from your favorite TV show. It is no longer acceptable. And for Megyn Kelly to get on her show and try to ponder this on national television when someone dressed up as Diana Ross, and to low-key defend them. Like, since when is a costume not a costume? Since now, it's not, Megyn. Since 2013. Since 2002. We have been talking about this for so long, and it's like crazy to me. So anyways, let's get back to what happened. Megyn Kelly lost her show on whatever network it was on. Apparently it wasn't doing well anyway. I heard that she ended up walking away with $67 million because apparently that's how much this show was worth. I think they bought the show for that much, or somehow they negotiated it. I don't know, girl. But she walked away on top regardless. And that's what kind of burns me a little bit. And I know that, nothing can really be done. If I'm being real, I don't think they let her show go because of this comment. I think it wasn't making that much money, and there was no other excuse to get her off the air, because it wasn't doing bad. It just wasn't doing great. And for a morning time television show, I think they usually make a lot of money, and the show just wasn't getting the viewership that it needed to get. And so this was an easy scapegoat way for her to be kicked off of NBC or ABC or whatever it was. And I don't hurt for Megyn at all. Whatever, she'll bounce back. She got $67 million. She's good. So the next topic. Here's the tea. Let's get back to the modern times. Victoria's Secret. So Victoria's Secret's creative director or somebody or other decided that he was going to talk about why Victoria's Secret in their runway doesn't have trans or plus size women. Now, I have never actually seen a Victoria's Secret's show. I've seen clips of it, but I didn't know it was an actual 45-minute situation. I had no clue. I've never seen it. I don't know anybody who's ever watched it. No one has ever talked to me about it. So it just is what it is. But why in 2018 is their creative director saying that the reason why they don't have plus size women or trans women is because Victoria's Secret wants to show off a fantasy? They're creating a fantasy. And I'm like, do you not know what a fantasy is? Or do you think that a fantasy is something that's very specific to a certain type of man? Because that's what Victoria's Secret show is for. Maybe there are some women who are ooh, fantasizing about it, but the lingerie that most women purchase, they purchase for the benefit of a man. Unless you're in a same-sex relationship and your girlfriend really likes it. But for the most part, lingerie is for the patriarchy. You know what I'm saying? And men, don't be... Hey guys, I know you're watching this video and you might be thinking I'm feeling a little emasculated because I'm doing my makeup. Please don't. Just look down between your legs right now. They're still there. It's not... I think the patriarchy has got a lot of people just so fucked up, and we just need to start to pull away from that. Fantasies come in all shapes and sizes. There are plenty of cisgendered, heterosexual men who find trans women to be beautiful. Plenty of them. A trans woman can't give off a fantasy. What does that even mean? Anyone gives off a fantasy. Anyone can give off a fantasy. Obviously I own Victoria's Secret, and for a long time it was my thing, but it's too expensive, girl. They need to give me a discount. You know what I'm saying? They need to give me a discount. I'd rather spend my money at Fenty Beauty, honestly. I just would need for Fenty Beauty to come out with some lingerie that I actually like. Girl. Actually, they did come out with something that I like, but I just feel guilty purchasing it right now because it's the holiday season and I'm giving my dad a 70th birthday party, and just like spending $75 on 2 pairs of underwear and 2 bralettes is just not in the budget. $75? Like, that is some alcohol I could buy for the party. You know what I'm saying? $75, that's decoration. $75, that's like food. I could go and get like 3 chickens and like some tortillas and we can make some bomb ass enchiladas like for $75. Like I just can't buy 2 pair of underwear and 2 bralettes. I just can't do it. So Victoria's Secret has got, I mean, they need to go on ahead and change that man or get him to not speak anymore. I can't even believe that he is so out of touch with what's going on that he would make a statement like that. That's just so offensive and so false, you know? It's just like crazy how false it is and doesn't even make any sense. All right, here's the tea. Oh no, how did a piece of stick get through? Didn't I put this down right? Girl, we can't have that. In other news, something that's very sad is Kim Porter passed away. She was the longtime girlfriend of Puffy, and she was also tied to Al B. Sure. Apparently, Al B. Sure wrote Forever My Lady about Kim Porter, and obviously Jodeci is the ones who made the song popular, but her death is unknown right now. The cause of her death is unknown right now. She was 47 years old. She was actually laid to rest today, Saturday the 24th. And there was a great outcry. I don't really know much about her. I don't know if she was on a reality show or something like that. I just knew she was a model and that she had had children by Puffy Combs, and so Sean Puffy Combs, or P. Diddy, you know. So like it's really sad. Like 47 years old. Apparently she had been having flu-like symptoms, and then she was just found deceased in her home. And that, I mean, it's terrible. It's absolutely terrible. I kind of want to know what happened and how she passed away, and I really feel sorry for the family. To lose somebody so young and so sudden, it's got to be just so devastating. And she had 4 kids, so like, and they're not baby. I mean, they're not all grown adults. Like I think her youngest is 11. To lose your mother at 11, it's just really heartbreaking. It's really heartbreaking. Here's the tea. Okay, Rebel Wilson and her problematic ass. Okay, so Rebel Wilson is that Australian actress. I think the first thing we saw her in was Knocked Up. And then after that, Pitch Perfect, right? She's the one, quote unquote, Fat Amy from Pitch Perfect. So apparently she is in a new rom-com that is due to release in the US very soon. And she has been going around promoting it or whatever, and she made some comments saying about how she's like a pioneer because she's the first plus-size woman to be able to star in and headline a rom-com, like a big blockbuster rom-com. And then there was a little bit of pushback from the Black community because they're like, hey, what about the Queen Latifah? You know, what about the Monique? And she responded with, well, those, like, basically kind of, well, she responded, I can't say exactly what she said, but the gist was that those are Black movies, so they're not like national stage movies. Those movies aren't big enough. They're not in the same league. And so it was just like, does that matter? Then she like got upset and like blocked a bunch of people and like still tried to defend herself instead of just being like, you know what, you're right. You're right. That's true. I mean, the thing is though, like, what would it have hurt her to say you're right? Even if she didn't believe it. So after, you know, a week of probably going back and forth with her publicist, she decided to come back and say that she's apologized for it. But it was a little too late, because at this point you're just like, why didn't you just bow out in the beginning? Why didn't you just say touche from the very jump? Like, there's no reason to fight about it. You were wrong. I've heard from Australians who are like expats or whatever, but like people who grew up in Australia who now live in the US, and this is more than one person, that Australia is still notoriously racist. Like they have the Tongan community of people in Australia, and they also have the Aborigine. And what the Australians did to the Aborigines is like ridiculous. Did you guys know that at some point in their history, which is relatively recent, I would say up until like the 70s, they would go into Aboriginal communities, and if they saw Aborigine kids that were light enough to be able to pass as white, they took them from their family and were like, we can raise them better and they'll better assimilate into our culture. I don't know who agreed to this. I don't know why the Aboriginal people went with it. And don't get me wrong, I don't think they just went with it. I think that there was some kind of threat of death or something. Like, I know they got threatened because nobody would just give up their kid because their kid is lighter skinned and told to go flourish in the white community. So it caused a lot of like disruption, dissonance, and like vitriolic hate towards the white Australians from the Aborigines, because like they just would come in and take their kids. Like, oh, this kid is light enough to assimilate, we'll take him and put him in a good home. What? Who knows what happened to those kids in those good homes? Like, it's insane. So anyways, like, that is just a little bit of the history. And also, like, I was watching, there was this HBO special by this guy named Chris something, who's Australian. He does, like, a variety show, sort of like the Tracy Ullman Show, or sort of like, I don't know, Key and Peele or whatever, but just not as, like, politically or smart or funny or anything like that, where he would have characters, right? And one of his characters was Jonah, the Tongan boy. So he would put on a curly wig and low-key blackface and pretend to be Jonah and put Jonah in certain situations with other Tongan kids. So they're made fun of, they're poor, they're kept poor due to laws and white supremacy. And this guy gets in blackface and dresses like them and pretends to be a Tongan junior high kid who's always getting in trouble and cussing at teachers and like doesn't give a fuck, and like it's just so rude and crazy, and we're all laughing at it, but he's literally dressing like a Tongan and putting it like, it's crazy, and he's white. So then he also did a character of an African American kid, and that quickly got, like, he got attacked for that, so he took that character back. So this is where I'm like, oh, okay, Australians are still like really racist. Like, they don't get it. They're still like just super racist. So like, for her to say something like that makes sense, and not like a cognizant thought. I don't think she's doing it on purpose. I just think that that is what she puts herself first, because that's who she sees first, right? So let's move on. Next topic. Here's the tea. There was a couple from New Jersey, I believe, who set up this whole elaborate ruse that they had run out of gas, and this homeless man had given them $20 to fill up their tank. And apparently this homeless man had been somebody that throughout the months they had seen around, and they had given him a couple bucks when he needed it here and there. And so it was kind of like this nice thing that when they needed help, he was able to help them out. So they all took a picture together. And then from there, they decided to start a GoFundMe account, the couple, for this homeless man to help him out, because they're like, this guy's such a genuine, great person with such an open and wonderful heart. So they do. And the GoFundMe ends up getting about $400K, right? So the couple is like living on cloud nine. They're pulling money out. They gave the guy allegedly $750. They only gave the homeless man $75,000. But it turns out that it was a scam, that the three of them had decided that they were going to do this, and that they did know each other, but that picture wasn't sporadic. It was kind of something that they planned to do. And one of the couples, I don't know who, actually told a friend that it was fake. And so that's where they messed up, right? Number one. Number two, they ended up getting $400K, and they only gave their partner $75K. Now, regardless now, like moving away from the fact that this is despicable, deplorable behavior, and it sucks that somebody would put up a fake GoFundMe, but we all now know that there are tons of fake GoFundMes out there, right? We know that for sure. So like, it is what it is. People were bamboozled out of their money, and GoFundMe said they're going to give the people their money back, but people were bamboozled out of their money. The thing that makes me like think that these people are idiots is that why wouldn't they give him half? Why would she tell or he tell their friend that it was fake? Like, if you're gonna plan something like this, like, just have a really Trump-tight agreement. Don't try to scam each other out of money, because then it's gonna blow up in everybody's face and no one's gonna get any money. Like, the couple apparently went on, like, gambling sprees between, like, Las Vegas and all these places, spending the money. They pulled out, like, $85,000. And now they're up on charges, all because they didn't give that man his fair cut. I mean, I think the friend would have come through too. Like, because honestly, if you're going to commit a scam like that and then tell somebody that it's fake, you're going to have to cut that person in some money too, so they don't go to the authorities. Come on, guys. If you're going to be thieves and scammers, just be good at it. You're so dumb. This is such a weird hodgepodgey video. I want to thank you guys for coming on this ride with me. All right, so let's talk about the next topic. Here's the tea. So in Anchorage, Alaska, a couple of months ago, actually, there was a man who picked up a Native American woman All right, so let me just read what this article says so that you guys know what I'm talking about, because I'm not explaining myself very well. A judge in Alaska is facing backlash after he released a man with no jail time after he pleaded guilty to assaulting a woman. Justin Schneider from Anchorage was accused of kidnapping an Alaskan Native woman on August 15th, 2017. The victim told police that 34-year-old Schneider offered her a ride from a gas station in Anchorage to Muldoon, Alaska. I guess he introduced himself to her and then was like, yeah, you know me. And she was like, no, I don't know you. But for whatever reason, she still got into the car. Instead of driving to Muldoon, Schneider drove in a different direction, parked his SUV, and asked the victim to get out. Schneider then tackled her and told her he was going to kill her. She said she could not fight him off. He was too heavy and he had her down and was being choked to death. The victim lost consciousness, thinking she was going to die. Schneider reportedly strangled her until she was unconscious and then masturbated on her, according to court documents. When she woke up, he told her that he was not going to kill her, but he needed her to believe that he was, so that he could be sexually fulfilled. He was charged with a felony on 4 counts. However, a plea deal between his defense team and the state allowed him to plead guilty to 1 felony assault and get no time, with a credit for time served and probation. I mean, just the power of being white. Like, the judge was like, I'm gonna let you go, but you can't ever do this again, okay? And he's like, yeah, I won't do it again. He needs a woman to feel like she's actually going to die in order to be sexually fulfilled? Like, doesn't he know that there are clubs and there are places for people like him to go hang out and meet like-minded people? It's just like, there are places for people to go who have kinks like that. They don't have to pick up random people off the street and then tell them they're gonna kill them. And this guy gets no time for doing this, for traumatizing this woman. It's insane. It is insane, the power of being a white man. Like, that is a superpower. So I'm gonna give a special shout out to Brianna. She's the one who sent me the article about the couple who scammed $400K from GoFundMe. You guys, I wanna thank you so much, Brianna, for sending me this. It really did fire me up to make me film this video. I know it's really hard for me to do morning teas, and I'm sorry for letting you guys down. I really do feel bad, but it's just really hard for me. It's really difficult for me to get these videos out. It's a lot of work. It's a lot of time and attention. They won't be every week like I would like for them to be because I just don't have the time. But if you send me articles, it'll put a fire underneath my butt and I'll feel guilty, and it'll make me film these videos or make time to do it, okay? The videos, again, won't have that much stuff in them. They probably won't, they just won't have pictures. I probably won't be able to link things down below, but I want to thank you guys so much for rocking with me during this time. You guys, for those of you who have rocked with me for the last 5 years, you know that this time of the year is really hard for me, that I work a lot and that getting videos out becomes increasingly difficult because I start to get worn down. All right, you guys, but that is the end. Let's have a kiki and a conversation in the comment section. Let me know what you thought of this week's episode. If you like what I do here on this channel and you'd like to consider becoming a Patreon patron, please click the link down below. Otherwise, remember to be you, be true, and find your place. Bye.